Hey boys and girls, I'm pretty bored right now, so I figured I'd come on and do one more. Depending, I don't know how busy I'm going to get. It depends when my new roommate gets off work. He's got a big old Jeep Liberty, or one of those big SUV type 4, I don't know, Jeep 4Runner, whatever it is. When he gets home, then I'm going to start moving. He's got a lot of room in that thing. So I thought I would actually come on and talk about something else, which is kick-ass, which is a little Japanese anime I call, well, it calls itself Cowboy Bebop. It's extremely amazing. I've been in anime since basically I grew up on it because I used to watch Astro Boy when I was a kid. Astro Boy was awesome, and that was a comic book first, or a cartoon strip, and that guy invented Japanese anime. He's the very first one to do it. I mean, he grabbed influences from other places, but basically he's the first one you put your finger on and say that's him. And Japan invented the first bipedal robot, and they are the leading world authority on building robots. And they have robots that can play soccer, that can walk upstairs, they're extremely articulate, they're kicking ass. They're obsessed with robots, and it's cool that there's at least one country in the world. There's probably others, things may have changed in the last little while, but last I heard, Japan's in the lead, and they're leading the world in a lot of really kick-ass. They've got a power suit you can put on, and it'll let you lift not a ton more than a person, but it'll let you lift more than you possibly could, which is kind of cool. So anyway, yeah, they've been developing their art for a while, and the Japanese are very big. Like I said, they're very big on presentation. Their cartoons developed as a result of kind of opposite of our cartoons, because our cartoons at the time were a lot of work. Like, I use the Ghostbusters cartoon as an example. It's extremely line heavy. There's a lot of extra lines in it that aren't necessary. Like, even if you watch Family Guy, for instance, the back of Peter's head has got this little ridge that bounces like this. And if you realize, if you made that a straight line, that's thousands of extra less dollars and hours of work that needs to be there. So little streamlined things like that, that's why Japanese anime looks the way it does. And I was hooked on, my ex-girlfriend got me into Sailor Moon, and I thought it was stupid at first, but I got into it and realized it's kind of funny, and it's got this, I was a little romantic when I was younger, so I thought it was cool. But basically what kicked it off for me was I got into Evangelion, which is another Japanese anime, which is fucking awesome. It's really cool. It's got a lot of religious connotations and stuff like that. Talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the guy who invented it got so pissed off, just like George Lucas must get pissed off to hear about Star Wars all the time. He got so pissed off at his cartoon, he wrote the movie and killed off every fucking character. Like, there's no going back, they're all dead. So anyway, it just that show was really amazing art, just cool story, and just awesome. And then I saw this anime in a store, and I thought, well, that's a stupid name, and I never watched it. But then my buddy Chris Sabwa got me to watch it one time. I was with my buddy Adam, and I didn't have anything to do. I think I was on vacation, and he's like, let's just watch the series. So we started watching it, and at first I was like, well, this is stereotypical Japanese anime. And if you know anything about anime, there's a lot of shit that comes out of Japan. Like, they use a lot of it for really, flashy. Like Dragon Ball Z is the worst perpetrator. I fucking hate that show. It's so lame. And it's got 1 million episodes, and it never ends. It's ridiculous. But then I would watch this show, and by the end of the series, I had been so moved by this series. When the end happens, I couldn't believe it. Like, I really felt that the way things should have went down shouldn't have went down, because I love the characters so fucking much. So fast forward a couple years later, the box set. This is actually supposed to be a box set, but it's actually a little thing you unfold. What happens is the actual series, if you want to buy it, is like $300, and it comes in a box with this exact same cover and everything. It's a very big box, but it's $300 fucking last time I checked for this fucking thing. And I'm like, there's no way I'm paying $300. So I go on eBay, and little do I know, a guy gets access to a printing press, gives it a very professional looking. As you can see, it's a plastic coating cover, and it's very nice. It's a complete fabrication. This is not the real one. But he's got professional looking, like, plastic holders. He's got the list of all the episodes. He actually packaged the movie and the soundtrack with us too. The soundtrack is fucking awesome. So I basically get the whole 26 episodes, but if you look at the inside, he's actually missing. There's 26 episodes. He's missing two of the pictures of the episodes here. There's 2 of them that aren't there. So immediately I went, wait a minute, just on this, it's incomplete. And then I went on to realize, okay, this is probably a fabrication because it's not sanctioned. And they even have warning, copyright, proprietary. It copyrights a stolen cartoon. So, but anyway, it's an amazing show. It's in the future. The guy, main character, dressed up as him for Halloween. His name is Spike Spiegel. He's a bounty hunter, and he fashions himself in the ways of Bruce Lee. So he fights like Bruce Lee, and I'm a huge Bruce Lee fan anyway. He's got a big afro hair, and he's always got his tie undone. He walks all hunched over all the time. He's always got a crumpled little cigarette he's smoking. And they're in the future, and the whole deal is there's not enough police. Of course, just like in real life, there's not enough police to cover all these different galaxies or different planets that have all these different criminals. So you become a bounty hunter, and you are supposed to bring in the bounty unkilled, and you get your reward. But the thing is, these guys are really skilled. Like all the characters, they're extremely skilled at what they do. But something always happens to fuck up that they end up not getting the bounty. The bounty gets killed. They end up, getting a huge bill because, Faye fucked up and blew up something, and now they got to pay all these fines. So they always end up just barely, not even being able to eat a lot of the time, but they always have enough money for cigarettes, cigarettes and booze. So the show basically goes on. It's way in the future. They've got like stargates that can jump from point A to point B extremely quickly, and all this cool shit happens. But basically, the easiest way to track somebody down is to do it the old-fashioned way, which is to go knock on doors and say, "Have you seen this guy?" Do the footwork, which is really neat because it's in the future. I think the one plot point they don't really touch on in the show is that, well, it's not part of the show's plot, but it's the overall story. Is that they don't make guns anymore because guns kill people. So that's why everybody, even though it's the future, still uses guns that we have today. And guns must be extremely hard to get a hold of. And there's probably only X number of guns available. Even though if it were any kind of real story, there's always some illegal gun manufacturer somewhere. But Spike has a gun, and he tries not to use it because basically if he can rough up somebody and not waste bullets, then hey, he does it. And he's an extremely skilled fighter. He beats up I don't know how many people in this series. But there's also a couple fights he can't win in the series, which is cool because, as you know, everybody's going to have a foil, like somebody that you can't take. And they go on to do the cheesy stereotypical, the main villain is a mere reflection of the main character, but they do it in such a way that it's fresh and new and it's amazing. Vicious is his villain and uses a sword rather than a gun, so he's automatically got the advantage because he's got a gun. But when he usually goes to fight Vicious, he's had to go through hell to get there, so he's been shot in the arm, and he's all banged up, and he's got scratches on his face, and he can't see very well. So, he never gets a fair fight with Vicious. It's always, he's been totally fucked up. And anyway, this series alone, just for the music, they blend a lot of jazz, there's some techno in there, but it's fucking some of the best techno I've ever heard. A lot of jazz singers, classical instruments, fucking great old series. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. I can't stop going on about the series. It's Internet Movie Database gave it an extremely high rating for a reason, and it's second in my head only after Band of Brothers, because Band of Brothers is the most amazing show ever put together, period, ever. So this is number 2 in my liking. It's a Japanese anime, and even if you hate anime, this is the one show you should probably sit down and watch start to finish. And I've gone back and watched some episodes, I don't know how many times, because they're so fucking good. I don't get emotionally stirred up when I watch something. I pretty much am dry, trying to separate. But there's one episode in this show that gets me a little choked up every single time. Episode 24, because that's when the group here, you see all 4 of them, starts off with just Spike and Jet. Jet's the ball guy, and they're partner bounty hunters. They eventually stumble on, pick up Faye, and they pick up Ed by accident, and the dog. But then towards the end of the series, of course, Spike is a doomed character because he can't get away from his past. That's part of the whole plot of this show, is he can't get away. So he ends up saying, fuck it, I've got to go deal with my past no matter what happens. And Jet's like, hey, I understand, there's nothing I can do, but good luck, see you later. And Faye's mad because she doesn't want the group to break up, and Ed and the dog go their separate ways, and Ed's so cute. Ed's the cutest character I've ever seen, ever. She's so fucking amazing. Her name's Ed, she goes by Ed for some reason. Every episode of the show is named after Jamming with Edward, for instance, is one episode. That's a Rolling Stones album, and I didn't know that. They're either named after dances or after Rolling Stones, or there's one called Toys in the Attic, which is an album by Aerosmith. There's a Heavy Honky Tonk Woman, which is a song by the Rolling Stones. So it's cool that every episode is either named after a dance or after mostly Rolling Stones songs, or a couple are ones named after Aerosmith. There's a couple other ones I'm not really gonna. Sympathy for the Devil is a Rolling Stones song, right? So anyway, it's fucking amazing. Like, the plot twists in the show are fantastic. Top-notch animation, top-notch fight scenes, top-notch story, top-notch characters. American voice acting is, I think pretty good. Some of the Japanese voice acting is a lot better, but Ed in English is the funniest fucking character ever. She's voiced by this beautiful girl who looks like a Disney princess. She's amazing. Anyway, if you can get out there and watch this show, it's mind-blowing how good it is. And I can't even. 10 minutes is up and I'm not even done.